Hello, fellow carnivores. As some of you know from the live stream, my dad passed away this month, and it's basically hit me a lot harder than I thought. The whole last 3 or 4 months have just basically been me, I don't know, in just a mental state where I can't get anything done. ADD is back with a vengeance, and the hyper focus issues of what was at hand was just shoving everything off to the side, which is something I've always battled with before carnivore. And it comes to the fault that I can't get anything done but what's in front of me. And it's just this real issue. And yeah, it was just back with a vengeance. The other thing is I put on 20 pounds. And a little bit about this timeline of putting on 20 pounds. When my dad went into the hospital and this stuff started happening and basically he couldn't walk and all this other stuff is when this started. And I put on, it was kind of this like up and down, but it went up to 20 pounds. As he got into the nursing home and I thought things were going better, I dropped back down 10 pounds. And then when I got the call the one morning from my mom that early in the morning, I just knew why she was calling me so early, and it just killed me. And I then ended up putting back on 10 pounds again. Purely just stress. I have not changed what I've been eating, not changed my diet, not changed any of that. It's just the same thing. So it's just the stress and how I'm dealing with it. And it's made me realize a couple things. One, I've always had really high stress positions, but this is a stress that I'm not in control of. So that's kind of new to me. It also makes me realize a lot of these people with outside stress that they can't control. I think like some of the weight issues people have, if they are that stressed, I always thought it might be like 10 pounds on a person, but the fact I've now experienced 20 pounds of weight gain because of stress. I could see that easily being somebody else's. That's over 10% of my body weight. So some of these people that are having issues, I'm starting to wonder now how much maybe could be stress. Some people get stressed over the scale not moving. Most of us long-term folks have said, don't worry about it, because that stress is going to make you slow down your weight loss about it not moving, so ignore the scale. I looked at the scale the whole time because it never bothers me. That's not what I'm ever stressed about. I find it very fascinating and interesting. But again, this stress for other folks now, I'm thinking might be a bigger issue than it is. They work with somebody that's bugging them about the carnivore diet. They work with somebody that's bugging them about their personal life, whether that be what color shoes they have or car they drive. I don't know. I'm lucky. I work from home. We homeschool. The people we're around are pretty, lax, everything else. But this whole stress thing has really made me look at the weight gain and the mental issues of anxiety kind of at the new light. Now, a little bit about, obviously, anxiety is how your body deals with stress. We know stress causes hormonal issues, blood sugar levels, insulin levels. You start having these cravings, your satiety signals get messed up. And I will say I had some of that with my satiety signals messed up because I could eat till I'm full, but 4 hours later I'd want to graze. And I was off that grazing for a while. But also because of this like ADD, hyper-focus, weird mind issue where I'm just like in a whole nother zone. And things go away to this fault with that issue. And I was just focused on my dad. I think I would just kind of forget and go back to this other old me, I guess. Again, that came back. The stress allowed these things to come back. And that opens me up for other people that like sometimes this stress, it might be more than just saying don't do this or that. Diet-wise, this stress might have to really be addressed with some people, which I think is an interesting thing. I know my dad would want me to be talking about this and do this. He loved the channel. He loved watching me. And everything that I am is because of him and my mom. My parents were always my parents. They were never, ever my like old man or old lady, or I was never that way. I mean, everything I am belongs to them. My dad had a blessed life. He was 92 and a half. He was a jet fighter pilot, did some car racing when he was younger, went commercial, did really well, in the airlines and had a great life. And I think that's important to say, but I don't change what I eat because I've been doing this now for over 4 years, and it's just how I eat. It's just my life. So I was lucky that I never fell into these sugar cravings or these cravings of food. I never even fell into like my early few months of carnivore thinking like pork rinds and sour cream are okay or a bunch of cheese was okay. I really didn't do that. Now, stress is good and it can actually motivate you to get things done. I think it makes you stronger. This brain imprint that you get from it allows you to handle stressful situations every time you encounter it more. So the more you do math tests that might stress you out, you can get better at it. And it's raining insanely hard here, so if you do hear noise, it's the rain. Now, my past life, I've had some high stress positions. Like when I was in the fire department, obviously, like every time the, call comes in, that's kind of the high stress. What are we going to come across? But it's in my control. I put myself into that job in that position, and I put myself into, wanting to go on these calls and help people because I was good at it. And I handle stress really, really, really well when I'm in control of it. But because this is 100% out of my control and I can only observe what's happening and I can do nothing about it, I'm not used to that kind of stress because I just don't put myself in those situations or allow it to come up. But because this was something I couldn't get away from, I had to deal with it. It's also something that all of us share in common. We are all going to have to face our parents, passing one day, or we already have. So I think this is also an interesting thing with that. We all go through this and how we handle it differently. Now, again, with that diet not changing and everything else, it did kind of give me this baseline to base this 20 pounds on. ADD issues coming back and my kind of being absent-minded, I guess, or hyper-focused on this is one thing. And I'm going to touch on this really quickly. I think we're all skeptical of the medical system and what they do because in general, obviously not everybody, but for the most part, it's about procedures, billing, prescriptions. What can we do to get almost like more money out of insurance? And what they did to him at 92, in my opinion, was borderline criminal. And what they didn't do for him was borderline criminal. When you're in a hospital and you're 92 and a half and they put you on a liquid diet for multiple days in a row, multiple times, and then do nothing about proper protein food, other sources like that. So what they did with him and what they didn't do, in my opinion, I think we all don't trust the medical system and everything it does anymore. And I'll kind of leave it at that. It was just a big, again, just so much stress and so out of control. Now, again, in these positions, like besides the fire department, when I was doing water rescues all the time in the islands, I'm really good at it. And it puts myself in that control situation that I know this is coming and I'm calm because I've done it so many times, and that gets back to the repetitive stress can be good. So I've had both mental and physical issues over this that hit me way harder than I thought. Besides the 20 pounds on, starting to lose, and then the second I hear the bad news, another 10 pounds back on. My sleeping is horrible. I got a watch to track my sleep when I started this. I usually sleep 7 to 8 hours. And I notice when I don't get sleep for some other issues that I don't perform as well. I don't feel as good. There's just, that mind creep comes back in and I get that hyper focus where I can't let outside stuff come in happens. So I've been getting 5 to 5.5 hours of sleep with some less since this has happened. I know Sean O'Mara's mentioned quite a bit about the stress compound on each other, and health and getting out there. So I've listened to some of the stuff he has. My not hiking daily because I'm so messed up on the sleep and so messed up on my mental side has also messed up my routine. But I was messed up going into it before the weight gain, which I want to make an important distinction there, that wasn't me stopping as why I gained weight. This was like, this stuff started compounding, but it's when he went in that it all of a sudden hit me that the gravity of the situation and the realness of the situation was there. And that's what, I guess, put me out kind of in that thing. So what am I doing about it? The physical things I'm doing and going to be doing are extending my hikes, putting more pounds in for a better ruck when I do the ruck kind of walks. So I'm going to be breaking those up to some longer ones with less weight and shorter ones with more weight, just to break up that kind of continuation. I'm going to start doing more sprinting again on the elliptical because I don't have a good place to sprint around here besides on gravel and cactus areas. And I don't want to do it on the roads because the roads here are Arizona roads. I just don't want to do it. And the summer's coming up. So more of that kind of workout. Also, the other thing is fasting. And I hate the first day, but the second day and third day are like this weird, awesome euphoria feeling. They're stressful. That first day is stressful for me, but I'm choosing to do that stress, so I'm okay with that stress, and it doesn't affect me at all, which is a strange thing. It doesn't affect my ADD. If anything, I'm perfect on it. And I know that repeating these fasts that I'm going to do because I want to do them. And I also mentioned these before a little while back. I was going to start doing them anyway for wanting to get rid of that last little bit kind of a belly that I thought I had, or a little bit of loose skin I've had. And me packing back on these 20 pounds has kind of changed that. So now I got to get that down and then refocus back on that. But I think that repetitive stress will be good because it'll make that fast become easier and easier. And now that I have this mental side of what has happened and knowing this, I think I'm going to get more out of the fasting because now I'm also going to look at how this repetitive stress and how I deal with this does it. The other thing I do is I'm on the security team for our church, and I love that. And that's been such a huge thing because, again, that ability of me always working the rescue situations I used to do and is just so wonderful that I just really focus on it and I know I'm good at what I do. The other side is my creative side and sharing what I do. I taught scuba for 15 years and I taught snowboarding for 8 years. And me doing this channel is my way of sharing with you. It's like me teaching scuba or me teaching snowboarding, where I'm not teaching you anything. I'm more just sharing my experience, and you're sharing your experience back with me, which I really like. And it's that interaction. It's like being on the hill and just giving some pointers that, hey, I've been snowboarding for this long. This is what it is. Or my diving, this is kind of how I do things. And let's try it this way and kind of, go from that experience that I can share. And that's been a huge thing for me, that I'm happy to be back at this creative. I know I've been gone for 3 or 4 months. I've done the lives, and the lives are easy because I have my other friends there that can help kind of carry that weight and things, and I can just kind of be there and it's easier. But I'm really excited to get back to creating videos, making videos, seeing you folks. Again, leave in the comments if you would, anything you would like. But one thing I would love to know in the comments is what stress has bugged you that you can't control, and stress that you do control, does it bug you? Because I find, again, the stress that I can control is a non-issue. It's the outside sources. Are those outside sources, again, people at work, whatever, the next door neighbor, things like that? Because I found that I just don't let those stress. This has been really the only thing that stressed me. So I would love to hear that in the comments if you wouldn't mind about doing that. But anyway, so besides the security that I've been doing a lot of things around the house. I've cleaned the garage twice now. I radically trimmed our tree. I trimmed it pretty heavy, and then I'm like, you know what, that's not enough. And I trimmed it again. It's an olive tree in the backyard. So I did that. I replaced like some bathroom fixtures. I'm going to be recaulking all the showers, doing stuff like that. Again, like cleaning out the garage twice. We've kind of accumulated junk over time here. Me being the minimalist, I hate it. It really freaks me out when there's clutter. So I've been enjoying that. Like organize the pantry, just weird things that I'm doing that kind of try to help me pull away from that. And the minimalist side of me loves that decluttering anyway. So the mental things, obviously I lean on my faith really hard. You guys know I've talked about that. And my dad had faith. And luckily I got to talk to him 2 days before he passed away and, share with him stuff. And I know he's going home to Jesus. I even talked about that with him. I said, I don't want you to go. I want you on this earth. But I also know when your time comes, this is kind of preordained, and you'll be home with our Father, Jesus, and I'll be up there with you one day. So that side of me it's still emotional, but it's that I understand that that's kind of how it is. And I've talked to a lot of the guys in men's Bible study about this. Again, everything I am is from my parents. My dad liked timepieces and watches, and he had a couple watches. My mom sent him so my boy can have one to remember that was my dad's favorite. And I'm also going to be wearing it to like the men's Bible study in church, just in memory of him. And I like the watch. It's a nice watch and I really love it. So I was wearing it today, and one of the guys I've known from obviously the men's Bible study, and he also works at the church, so I know him from working at the church and things like that. I never knew he was really into watches because he saw it and he started talking to me about it. And it turns out he loves watching these videos of people fixing up watches, and he likes to try to replace batteries, fix up watches for people what he can, and he's wanting to learn more. He's not comfortable with taking them completely apart now, but he's really getting into all these things. And that was so cool that even now with my dad gone, again, like I said, everything I am that's led me through life is my parents' upbringing. I think everybody really has that. Whatever they had, good or bad, it's helped form them. And here it is, even after he's gone, having that watch was part of this thing, and it brought me closer to this other friend again that I learned more things about. And I think those are kind of neat little takeaways from that. And of course, the creativity, like I said, back to making YouTube with this. And during this time that I've kind of been away, like, I think the biggest thing is I was so mentally gone and I knew not to push myself. There's times when you have to just, like, bad term, man up, just buck up to the table, whatever you want to say, pull up to the table, get the job done and do it. And I did that with the lives because there were people carrying through, but I did have a hard time doing this and kind of stepping up and making it happen because there was so much going on, and I would get here and I would just kind of come apart. So I'm sure you can understand that. And it's an interesting point for me because now it gives me something else to share with you and you to share with me and others in the comments. Again, if you've had these situations, what gets you, what doesn't get you, everything else. The one other thing that's happened that I think is really cool is obviously my wife has been doing more. She's been doing more of the driving because driving stresses me out here in Phoenix. I allow myself this freedom to know that I'm stressed, and I go watch shows that I really like, which are a lot of history things, do some online gaming with my friends, and also things like Band of Brothers, because I have such a respect for that generation and everything that they did and gave up. And they're, to me, they are the greatest generation. And I realize that I've got it pretty easy. It's not that bad. And it does kind of help me pull away. I love watching that. As some of you know, I dove, and I actually got a dive on a lot of World War II shipwrecks. Down in Micronesia, I worked in a place called Chuk or Truck Lagoon. You can look that up. Wild, kind of things. And the rarest thing that I've been able to do that's a blessing beyond belief is I got to dive on the USS Arizona. Um, that I might go into the story one day, but it's just such a rare opportunity. So I've had this incredibly blessed diving life. My dad's had this incredible life where he was a jet fighter pilot, raced some cars when he was younger for fun and did some things, had some incredible cars when he was in the Air Force, Porsche Speedster, 55 Corvette, other things like that. And then went on to be a commercial pilot and did really well. So, uh, wow, that's some loud thunder. If you guys just heard that, we're having the monsoons here. It actually kind of startled me. It was so loud behind me, it shook the glass. Anyway, the other thing is, my wife, being a creative, has been a graphic designer her whole life. She started a YouTube channel, so I'm going to make a plug for that. It's called Doodle the Bible, and I'll have a link below. She likes to make sure it's doodles, it's not art, but they're really good. To me, they're art because I can't draw a stick figure the same twice. So she's doing this thing where she's speed paintings, where she'll draw out like the Bible as she's reading the Bible and draws it out, and then these doodles. And for me to watch her finally step out of that, I'm too shy to do this. And I think seeing the things I'm going through, and she lost her mom recently, we lost her to cancer, and then my dad, and just all these hits on us. I think as creatives, we need this outlet and we need to be able to have that. And having that kind of pulled away from 3 or 4 months has been really hard. And I think even for her, kind of seeing that, it got her to kind of step out of her thing. So check that out. It kind of gives you another view of like where my wife comes from and what we do as people. Because sometimes I think it's fun to know the backside of, you know, other YouTube people that I like or, you know, admire or just watch or just curious about. So again, that's kind of her thing. And again, I just thank you for being out there for me, because even being able to do this is just such this great thing to talk to. I'm still super active in the comments, and I love hearing all these comments of people, you know, doing the carnivore thing. So again, leave comments about your stress, what bugs you, what doesn't, how it does. I would really love to hear it. And I think it's great for other people to see how other people react, because you might fall in line with somebody and be like, aha, that's, you know, somebody I can relate to. This jerk at work that keeps bugging me that I'm going to get cancer from eating red meat that we know is bunk. But it's just those little kind of helpful things. So I just thank you for being there and look forward to doing a lot more stuff coming up again now that I'm kind of back in the momentum of it. And I'm going to keep you updated on my weight loss. Again, I'm going to be doing more rucks, longer rucks, some more workouts, and the fasting. And the fasting I was planning on doing before anyway for kind of that last bit. So I'll have a lot to kind of keep up on how it's going. Stay carnivorous, my friends, and a hui hou.